Oh my, you sure are a pretty pipe, but you favor a pipe I once knew.
Warning, I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot, but I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
In my last video, The Finders Part 2, we found most of them, and it confirmed Paula Errico still living the community lifestyle at Seekers and Settlers, and through her Facebook, Carolyn said, staff writer for the San Francisco Chronicle, also a blue check on Twitter, and I also found James Michael Howe, Marlon Michael Howe, and I wasn't sure about Douglas Ammerman. I took a shot in the dark, one reason being something that I read about them, and he was in the music. This is from an old Yahoo group, Wednesday, December 13, 2006. This past weekend, I made the acquaintance of two people who, it turns out, have a strange history. Kristen Noth, who sometimes goes under the name Kristen K. Noth with an N, and currently goes by K. Noth, and Douglas Ammerman. During the late 1980s, they were members of a communal group known as the Finders. The Finders began as a loose association in the late 1960s under the guidance of Mary and David Petty. Although Petty died in 2003, the group probably persists today as a web of acquaintances. One can find quite a lot of material on the internet about the Finders, but almost all of it consists of reprints and rehashes of a series of news articles dating from 1988, when the Finders had their only run-in with the police. It was 1987, but he was close. I met Noth and Ammerman during the first 3 days of the week of December 10th, 2006. My fiance and I moved to Floyd, Virginia in February, and we were trying to convince my son to move to Floyd. He was visiting with us to look at houses for rent. Noth had placed an ad in the Floyd Press for some property she was just finishing purchasing. My son and I met her at the property, and he was inclined to rent the place. We had Noth and Ammerman over to our house the next evening and gave them a check for the first month's rent and deposit. But there were several unusual details about the arrangements that bothered us. Oddest was that they insisted that there be no written rental agreement, that all business be conducted on the basis of mutual trust. I had trouble sleeping that night, and out of curiosity, began Googling Noth and Ammerman. With only a little effort, I found an abundance of discomforting news reports and lurid speculation. I didn't know what to make of any of it, but being leery of getting involved in an open-end rental in what could, at the very least, have been a scam, we decided to cancel the arrangement. I called Noth the next day with a concocted story about my son changing his mind about moving to Floyd, returned the keys to the property, and got my son's check back. This was my only personal contact with anyone connected to the Finders. I started making detailed notes of my meeting with Noth and Ammerman in case additional complexity should arise, and I include these notes at the end of this memo. In 2000, Noth was seeking a position as a house sitter. Caretaking housekeeping situation wanted. Kristen K. Noth, Noth@his.com. Professional couple with property management experience and excellent references available for caretaking/house sitting for exceptional people and properties in DC, short or long term. That's kind of scary. She enunciates carefully with no apparent regional accent, speaks in a rather deliberate, paced fashion, gives an impression of good manners and education. She's guarded in her speech as well, giving away no more information than she needs to. She said that she was a writer and journalist by trade, but didn't volunteer the genres in which she worked. She said she had recently taken a job as an analyst to bring in some extra money, but didn't name the organization for which she worked. So basically it was a trailer on a larger land plot with a bigger house in the back. She said that she and her boyfriend would be living at the larger house, but only intermittently. At some point, Kay mentioned that she was looking to rent the house to someone who wouldn't draw attention. I think she may have added, of the police, but that may have been only my interpretation. I said that she didn't need to worry that Walter didn't use drugs. I took that to be the thrust of her remark, a reasonable concern for a landlord. We asked whether she would be keeping any farm animals, since there were several sheds on the property close to the house. She said her and her boyfriend were thinking about buying 2 or 3 goats. But they'd keep them in the paddock across the driveway, well away from the house. Kay's boyfriend's name was Doug Ammerman. He was a little shorter than average, I'd say, but sturdy. I guess about 160, 170, middling long wavy brown hair, and not very well trimmed beard. He wore a visored cap, I think with some sort of bluegrass music motif, that he kept on throughout their visit. Otherwise, I'd say he was dressed in a casual way, actually indifferently. I noticed a small tear in his canvas trousers. He had a slight rural, southern accent and spoke in a less mannered way than Kay. Kay had said earlier that he was a musician, apparently interested in bluegrass and old-time country music. It was he who had discovered Floyd and was pushing for the two of them to move there. He said that he ran across Floyd on his way back from the Dlux Fiddlers Convention, which is held each summer in Dlux, Virginia, about 50 miles from Floyd. Kay also mentioned that he was interested in Brazilian music and that he traveled a lot to Brazil. I tried to draw him out on the subject, but he wouldn't talk about it. I can't quite say why. I don't think he had any real interest in or knowledge of Brazilian music, but that's just the impression I got. I do believe that he was enthusiastic and knowledgeable about old-time music, though. When he asked about signing a rental agreement, Kay and Doug appeared taken aback. Kay said she thought she had been clear earlier, that there was to be nothing in writing, that they preferred their relationships were based on trust. I was surprised in turn, but the property was so desirable that Walter and I agreed. So they got home, he talked to his wife, and they had misgivings about the commitment that they had just made. The lack of a written agreement, the cash deposit for electricity, the body language and guarded speech of Kay and Doug, and so forth. We couldn't quite put a finger on why we were so uneasy, so we decided to sleep on it. I woke up around 3 a.m. and unable to go back to sleep, I started searching for information about the two on the internet. He wanted to see if they were scam artists. Instead, he ran across the first references to the finders that he had ever read. So they went and gave the keys back and got their check back. So I knew he was a scruffy musician. In the bluegrass. The other guy was in bluegrass. He was a scruffy musician though. Takes one to know one. Kristen and Doug's son is Ben. So you would figure they probably would keep in touch even if they are broken up. Because they have a kid together. Going back to Kristen's Facebook page. In 62 she moved to Pakistan. In 66 she moved to New Delhi. In 68 she moved to Somalia. And in 70 she moved to DC. And then in 80, Washington. Is that odd? So going through her friends, I was looking for musicians. This one sticks out, Tommy Stone. Oh, he was in a band. The Protest Song Factory from Charlottesville. Interesting.
Monsanto, Monsanto, I had a bad dream. You poisoned the planet and patent the seed. Now the wind blowing pollen from my neighbor's field has got me in court while decreasing my yield. Sign, where's justice?
And then I started finding a lot. And according to one of the email addresses I found linked to his property, then it's him. But he goes by Slinky Cobblestone. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I found him.
Hey, this is Slinky Cobblestone, Bonnaroo 2010 with all my good buddies here at the Sierra Nevada tent. We got a little song for you people out there in California.
Take that pipe and plug it, it ain't serving us no more. The 1% is the major reason we all feel so poor. Their corporate machine making all that money ain't working here no more. So take that pipe and plug it, it ain't serving us no more. Take that pipe and plug it, it ain't serving us no more. Alright, thanks. Yeah!
Fucking stoned. I got motherfucking spaceship. Oh, fuck. Oh, Oh, I got it.